Hello friends, my name is Dante, and I'd like to welcome you to yet another video. And this one was a very fun one to try. Can you beat Skyrim as a level 1? Now, before we really get into it, I want to say something. When I have an idea for a video, I always search it up to see if anyone else has done it. I did that for this challenge and saw that a YouTuber by the name of Yimfa did this challenge already. I didn't watch his video and I have no clue what strategies he used. I thought of this idea in my head and unfortunately someone else beat me to it. I don't know if he completed the challenge or what, but I thought I'd bring it up. I don't want to be the new Morgs, okay? Alrighty, let's do this. You guys need to hear the rules because holy hell are they ever a pain. So what am I trying to do here exactly? I'm trying to beat Skyrim's main storyline only as a level 1. That may not sound too difficult, but let me tell you why it is difficult. First off, doing literally anything other than existing levels you up. What does this mean? I can't use any weapons whatsoever. I can't use a sword because that levels up one-handed. I can't use a bow because that levels my archery. I can't even use any magic because every school of magic has its own leveling system. I can't crouch throughout the game because that levels up my sneaking. I can't wear any armor whatsoever because getting damaged while wearing it levels up my armor skills. And guess what the worst part is? See, I thought I could just save up a ton of gold and then buy a ton of health potions which would help me win any boss fight I attempted. But nope, buying or selling anything levels your speech skill. So buying and selling is also off the table. You know what? Instead of telling you guys the millions of things I can't do, how about I tell you what I am allowed to do? I'm allowed to exist. That's it. If I do anything other than existing, I fail this challenge. Bro, what the kind of challenge is this? Honestly though, I can only use my fists as a weapon. I have to stay naked. Oh damn son, that's hot. And I can use shouts since they don't level me up. That's about it, I'm not kidding. This challenge is frigging tough, boys. And remember, my end goal is to beat the storyline, aka killing Alduin, as a complete level 1. Not one skill is allowed to go up the entire playthrough. I also want to say that I kept the game on the default difficulty, whatever that is, and I never once changed it. Let's get into it. So we start our journey in Helgen and immediately strip ourselves down the moment Ralof unties our hands.
You're naked!
If we were gay, we'd proceed to tie Ralof's hands and do his bidding, but fortunately, we don't swing that way, so we run through dangerous burning Helgen with only a diaper on instead. We strip down Ralof's boy for no good reason and escape the cave. So far, we're doing well. We haven't leveled anything up and we're done the prologue. I did choose the Nord race, by the way. I know that it would have been better to be a Khajiit because they do more damage with their claws, but I didn't think of that at the time. Also, I've played Skyrim multiple times and I only ever choose Nord. Call me racist, go ahead, you think I care? I started my journey to Whiterun and immediately got shit on by Ayla for not helping with the giant.
Well, that's taken care of. No thanks to you.
Look, clearly I tried to help, but I guess they killed the giant before my fist could connect? Apparently it's not the thought that counts. I told her I tried my best, but my best wasn't good enough. I entered Whiterun the same way I always do, and told the Jarl about the dragons. Then he sent me to his little wizard boy and told me to go find some rock in a dungeon. They didn't offer me a single weapon or piece of armor, but what else could I expect from the boy in his pajamas? So I get to the dungeon and need to save Arvel from the mama spider. At first, I thought this part would be pretty difficult. Luckily, you can punch spider webs down. I was afraid the spider would kill me before I could save Arvel, but nope, I played this part 2 or 3 times and the spider barely damaged me. Of course, we couldn't let Arvel call us a fool and get away with it, so I did what any sane person would do. I chased him through the evil 100-year-old dungeon, performed a back-twisting combo on him, and pummeled his neck into the ground with a 180-degree flip. At the end of this cave, I had to fight a Draugr overlord to get the stone from him, which took forever with my fists. But I just let my health naturally refill anytime he hurt me, and I eventually whittled down his health enough. Let's talk about the standing stones. There are 13 standing stones in Skyrim, and there are actually a few that can help us out. I chose the Lady Stone, which allows you to regenerate health and stamina 50% faster. I was mostly interested in the health aspect as I didn't really care for stamina during the playthrough. But hey, it doesn't hurt to take both. Getting back to our journey, I went hunting for some meat like a badass, and it went surprisingly well. Take that shit, elk! The Jarl was so happy with me that he decided to give me a gift. Normally, I'd take it with a smile, but I couldn't use his gift today. So I dropped it in front of him and slowly watched his proud look turn into disappointment. Then a dragon attacked, and out of the entire room of armed soldiers and trained mages, the Jarl thought it was a good idea to send the naked guy who refuses to use weapons to fight the dragon. What was his reasoning for sending me out? He said it was because I was the only one there who had seen a dragon. Bro, that makes no sense. But, being the hero I am, I charged out there and immediately hid in the tower for the rest of the guards to kill the dragon.
This doesn't look good.
Don't get me wrong, I did at least a little bit of damage to the dragon. I think. You know, it's all really a blur to me. I ran to Whiterun as fast as I could before the other guards could catch up and told the Jarl that I was the one who killed the dragon. He agreed with me and even called me a hero. A well-deserved victory royale. I did try talking to the Jarl's little yes man, and he had a stroke in front of me. It was really awkward. Then I continued on my adventure with my newfound friend, Lydia. As you guys will see, followers are really handy to have, at least until you get a good amount of powerful shouts. I couldn't have done this without Lydia. When Wolf started chasing me, she did accidentally shoot me through the forearm. But I couldn't have done this without her. You get an A for effort, Lydia. It was now time to meet the Greybeards, masters of the voice. I traveled long and far and came across this random guy standing on a log. My initial reaction, being a murderer and all, was to blow him off the log with my voice. But unfortunately, my voice wasn't strong enough just yet. I proceeded to punch him off the log. This man was never seen again. Then I came across a woman in the mountains. My initial reaction, being a murderer and all, was to take advantage of the situation and kill her while there were no witnesses around. She was tougher than she looked and I ran, but she told me I had enough and stopped chasing me. Hallelujah. My initial reaction, being a murderer and all, okay, I'll stop using that. But I did want to finish the job. She really wasn't having it the second time around and chased me down to kill me. Luckily I got those Nikes on, so I was super fast, boy. When I got to the Greybeards, they kept trying to tell me about the way of the voice, blah blah blah. It was all boring. I decided to impress them by showing them my flying skills. But, newsflash, they didn't care. I was impressed at least, so it wasn't a total loss. Let's talk about my health situation. So far through this whole challenge, I've been saving up every little piece of food and healing potion that I could for Alduin's boss fight, and I haven't really needed to use any, which is good news. Now, the stupid Greybeards kept going on about power and responsibility like some kind of Uncle Ben clone, and Lydia and I couldn't help but to play soccer. I missed like 90% of what they were saying, but I'm sure it's fine. After all the Greybeards had done to help me, I thought it was a great idea to steal Arenger's Amulet of Talos. Yes, it might have been a crime, but that crime was going to help save the universe. He didn't clue in that I started wearing it immediately after. And by the way, the Amulet of Talos cools down your shouts 20% faster, so that's why I really wanted it. Now this is when the challenge became scary. When I fast traveled to Riverwood for the next mission, 2 of the cultists were slowly walking towards me. I don't know what they wanted or how they found me, but I knew it couldn't have been good. I parkoured my way past them and hid in the bar. After talking to Delphine, I was ready to leave, but the cultists were waiting for me outside. Run, Lydia, run! Don't let them catch you! I went, killed the dragon with Delphine, and came back to see... guess what? The goddamn cultists. By the way, the dragon was decently difficult. I used a lot of food on him because Delphine and Lydia were completely useless and the dragon kept targeting me. But I did end up killing it with enough cabbage and sweet rolls in my stomach. Everything was going according to plan. Delphine invited me and Lydia to her secret basement to plan our next dragon move. Then, this guy named Embry runs down into her secret lair and starts chatting with me. That's never happened to me before. It was hilarious and so unexpected. My next task was to run across Skyrim to get to the specific location, but there were a few baby spiders in my way. So I thought, okay, easy peasy, I'll just run by them. But I noticed this man chasing me. I stopped to see what was up, and apparently he wanted to give me something. The spiders killed him mid-sentence, but the mad lad continued talking to me even through death.
Take this and hold on to it. I'll be back for it later. No time to talk. Snitch or double-cross me and I'll kill you. I mean it.
I don't even know what to say here. I was back in Whiterun for official business, and this complete jerk decides to criticize my clothing situation.
You got no clothes. You should get some.
After the countless people bullying me, and making fun of me for this, I cracked and started beating him to death. He tried to run away from me at one point, but got stuck on a fireplace, giving me a perfect opportunity to finish the job. At this point, I was supposed to go to the Thalmor embassy and find out incredibly important information. I did try this part, but I just couldn't defeat all of the enemies with only my fists. There were simply too many. I did kill about half of them, but I just blasted through way too many food items and potions, and after spending an hour trying to figure this part out, I decided it was time to join the dark side. I was going to have to turn into a werewolf. I didn't want to do this, but the embassy just pushed me into a corner. I couldn't sneak through it because then my sneak skill would go up, and Lydia couldn't join me in the embassy. I had no choice. Turning into a werewolf doesn't level you up and just makes defeating smaller enemies easier. I only used the werewolf twice throughout this playthrough and only for smaller enemies as mentioned before. Anyway, everything was good and fine. I became a werewolf pretty easily and I was on my first rampage. But the car salesmen were back. In the middle of my rampage in Whiterun, these pieces of garbage stopped me and started questioning me, calling me the Dragonborn.
You there. You're the one they call Dragonborn.
Shh! Shut up guys, you're gonna give my identity away. I couldn't exit it quick enough and the stupid salesman got me killed. Luckily, this death wasn't really a death, and I instead ended up at a castle with Ayla. She was acting a bit weird, and we eventually ended up getting to the end and finding Skjor's dead body. I couldn't help but disrespect his corpse, so I stripped him and fed on him. I mean, Ayla didn't stop me, so it couldn't have been that bad. In planning for infiltrating the Thalmor embassy, Delphine gave me a suit and boots to wear, which I was very against. Even my own friends were criticizing my clothing choices now.
You can't go to a party at the Thalmor embassy dressed like that.
I begrudgingly put on the damn suit and was ready to go. Malborn told me to give him anything I couldn't live without while inside the embassy, so I gave him all of my pies, cabbages, carrots, and sweet tarts. I told him if there was a single thing missing from my stash, I'd cut him into so many tiny pieces that no one would ever know it would be him. We get to the Thalmor embassy now, fully prepared and ready to tussle. Upon entering the party, I immediately stripped down and mingled with the party guests. Have you guys ever had those dreams where you're naked in front of a crowd of people? This felt exactly like that. And you guys ever have that one guy who just takes all of the food at a family gathering? Yeah, that's me. So we did the distraction, even though I thought I was the distraction, and turned into a werewolf and I murdered every last goddamn pathetic elf in my path. Yes, I'm racist. I can't wait for someone to use that sentence against me out of context. I recovered the info I needed and was good to go, still at level 1 baby. At one point I was walking by Alver's wife and she got really defensive, like I was hitting on her or something.
It's not happened for hundreds of years.
You're naked!
I'm spoken for, you know, so don't get any ideas.
Papa isn't too friendly with strangers, but you seem alright.
I would never do a bad thing to Alver though, so I left his wife alone. It was time to go to Riften to find Esbern. Of course, I could have just used a carriage to fast travel there, but where's the fun in that? Half of the fun is in the adventure. Of course, I started my adventure and not 10 seconds later a dragon started hunting me down. Really, bro? Luckily, some brave hero came charging out of the forest and fought the dragon back for me, and I took this opportunity to run. I honestly had a beautiful time and even found myself running with the wolves. Shortly after, I found myself running from the wolves. Oh life, you mysterious backstabbing beauty. Here's another fun fact for all of you people. I can't intimidate anyone, I can't persuade them, and I can't bribe them without leveling my skills. But this playthrough is all about staying at level 1 and keeping my skills at their default level. Which, by the way, when I took the necklace from Arengar, it didn't upgrade my pickpocketing skills, thankfully. Unfortunately, the only way to get into Riften is to go through the front gate with the haggling guards, forcing you to level your speech skill. Or, so I thought. I loaded game at this point after talking to the guards and I found myself back in Solitude. I was sad because I didn't know how I'd be able to get into Riften. Maybe with a glitch? Maybe I could find a way over the wall? I decided to hire a carriage driver this time because I couldn't be bothered to make another adventure to Riften. This carriage driver gave me the biggest hint ever. I mean, he totally helped me out. He said, if you ever find yourself in Riften, you should visit the Blackbriar Meadery.
If you've never been to Riften, be sure to visit the Blackbriar Meadery.
I couldn't see his face from where I was sitting, but I'm positive he winked at me after he said that. I rolled the dice and decided to take his advice. Every door along Riften's outside was either locked by key or I had to pick it open, which is a big no-no because that would level my lockpicking skills. But the Blackbriar Meadery seemed to be the only place that was unlocked and allowed me entry into Riften. That carriage driver is my dog! I ended up meeting Brynjolf and he told me he'd cause a distraction so I could go steal a necklace. I tried to help him out with the distraction, but I don't think anyone was buying it. Of course, I couldn't finish this mission properly because it requires me to open 2 locks, increasing my lockpicking skill, and then it requires me to plant the necklace on someone, increasing my pickpocket skill. Luckily, you don't actually have to complete this mission the way it's intended to be beaten. But before we get into that, let's talk about the craziest thing that happened when I arrived in Riften. In the middle of Brynjolf's little show, a dragon attacked inside of Riften. I mean, it was hitting the invisible walls of the city and everything. The townspeople came together and vanquished the dragon, and I gave the dragon's soul a good suck. I've never had a dragon attack inside of Riften before, and I didn't know it was even possible. But hey, you learn something new every day. Now back to Brynjolf. To fail the mission, but still pass it, I simply went into the bar beside his stand. Any door will work and you'll get a notification that you failed. I went to go talk to Brynjolf and he said he still saw some promise in me and that I'd make a great addition to the club. I mean, all I did was dance naked on his stand while he was showing off his potions, but apparently that's all you need to do to get into the Thieves Guild. So, I went under the routeway to find Esbern when a bunch of Thalmor soldiers attacked me. I didn't know what to do other than to run, so I hauled it back to the Thieves Guild bar, and to my surprise, everyone protected me! They all slaughtered the Thalmor that were trying to kill me. Again, all I did was dance naked on Brynjolf's stand, but I was now an integral part of the club. These people were like my family. I got Esbern out of there and was good to go.
There has been talk amongst the guards that you are Dragonborn. But such a thing, surely that's not possible.
Oh, it's possible, baby. Alright, blah blah blah, now it's College of Winterhold time. At first, I thought I would have to talk to the gatekeeper and either persuade her or show her my magical abilities, which I don't think would have put up my skills since I wouldn't have been harming an enemy, but I didn't want to test it. I tried to blast past her.
3, 2, 1.
Got a blast.
But of course she caught me. Fortunately, she said she'd let me pass if I showed her a shout. That's all you need to get the ladies nowadays, my guys. I impressed her with my shout and was on my way to Shrek. I convinced Shrek to show me his books when he said this.
I don't want to see you treating any of these books poorly. Are we clear? Here you go. Try not to spill anything on them.
Nobody tells me what to do. There's nothing really interesting about Blackreach, I just ran past all enemies. But now comes the hardest part of the entire run, the boss fight with Alduin. And I'm not talking about the final boss fight, oh no. I'm talking about the second last boss fight on the mountain. You'd think this fight would be easy since you have Parthenax with you, but he does nothing to help you, and Lydia was completely useless during this whole thing. In fact, Alduin even killed her. I wish I could be sad, but I just can't bring myself to do it. Now, because I don't have help from anyone during this part, I have to bring Alduin's health all the way down by myself. At first I tried punching him to death, but I just blasted through way too many of my supplies, and I don't even think I had enough to last the whole fight. But then I had a genius idea. My biggest problem with Alduin was his fire breath, so I thought I would fight fire with fire. My genius plan was to use Dragon Rend on him to calm him down, and while he was down, to use my fire breath shout on him. When he comes down to the ground, the first thing he does is shoot fire at me. With my 1000 level IQ, I found a spot where his fire wouldn't hurt me. I was at this fight for 30 frigging minutes, and he still had half of his health bar. But something amazing happened. Parthenax and Alduin started fighting each other on the ground, and so I took this opportunity to punch the hell out of the distracted Alduin. It mostly worked. I did use up all of my food, but I still had all of my potions, so it wasn't a total loss. And yes, I defeated Alduin with only my fists and my shouts. Thanks for nothing, Lydia. Then for some reason, everyone wanted a peace treaty, and I had to talk to Balgruuf about it. Of course, at this important time, he was sleeping in his quarters. I barged into his room, admired him sleeping for a few seconds, and then proceeded to wake his ass up. He wasn't angry at all and was fully alert. I hope to be at this man's level one day. We planned the meeting and I found myself at the Greybeards' home. Now, I don't know what happened here, but everyone was supposed to sit down. Nobody told me what was happening and I awkwardly sat down by myself. Let me tell you, that was the most awkward thing that ever happened to me in my life. I got out of my seat because I was super confused, but then decided to fully commit. Now it was time to call Odoving. I did what I had to and tried to protect this guard with my life, but apparently Odoving is very picky. No! I tried my best. Let's skip ahead a bit. Again, my strategies for basically any dungeon was to just run past all threats and use my fire shout if I had to. It was a nice upgrade from my fists. I escaped the dragon priest through the portal and arrived to meet Sun, the biggest boy of them all. He told me he wouldn't let me into his club until I passed the warrior's test. And so naturally, I lit him on fire with my fire breath, went up to punch him. He took off half of my health with one swing of his weapon, and I proceeded to run away from him until my shout recharged. I'm not proud of this, but it won me a spot in the club. Sun told me I fought well and that he found me worthy. All I did was shout at him and then ran away from him like a little girl until it recharged. But I'll take it. And here we are, boys, the final fight with Alduin. We've come this far and are still a level 1, with not a single skill upgraded and the werewolf only being used for the Thalmor embassy and the little part in Blackreach with some Thalmor. I rallied the heroes behind me and we went to fight the dragon. I led the team forward. I was probably the least qualified candidate to lead men into battle, being that I was just a weak naked man who only used his fists, but I felt cool as hell. Before I went into battle, I gave Sun a little kiss on the nipple in case this was the last time I ever saw him. I'm happy to say that the warriors actually do help you in this fight, unlike Parthenax and Lydia in the last fight. They're still weak as hell and fall down every 2 seconds, but at least they do a bit of damage and are a bit of a distraction. Seeing that this was the final fight, I went all in. Fists, shouts, and healing potions galore. And we freaking did it, boys! We defeated Alduin! Sun congratulated me and everyone cheered me on.
All hail the Dragonborn! Hail him with great praise!
Honestly, this part was really awkward and there wasn't some big celebration for me. But hey, I was now known as a hero of Skyrim. As always, I didn't think this challenge would be possible, but it sure was. I came across some difficulties along the way, but I always found a way around them. It turns out the most important thing for this challenge was food and health potions. I frigging beat Skyrim as a level 1. What a legend. If you guys enjoyed this video, all I ask is that you subscribe because I make about 2 new gaming challenge videos every week and you don't want to miss them. And it's important you click that notification bell. If you don't click that bell, you pretty well aren't subscribed to me, so be sure to click it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video.